Picture this: you're sitting across from a woman you deeply care about. The night is perfect, until suddenly, it isn't. Maybe a waiter is incredibly disrespectful. Maybe an ex-boyfriend walks in. Or maybe she simply drops a comment designed to poke at your insecurities, a subtle test to see if you're actually the man you claim to be. Most men fail right here. Their face flushes. Their voice gets thin and defensive. They start to explain, to argue, to react. And in that split second of panic, the attraction she felt for you dies. Why? Because you just proved you can be moved. You proved that your internal world is for sale, and anyone with a little bit of noise can buy it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why your ability to stay dead calm in that exact moment is more intoxicating than any pickup line or expensive watch. I'm going to reveal the black hole strategy, the Stoic secret to absorbing chaos without letting it touch your soul. By the end of this journey, you won't just be acting calm, you will be the eye of the storm. If you're ready to master the silence that speaks louder than words, comment right now: the mountain does not move. Pillar 1. The biology of the anchor. To understand why calm is the ultimate aphrodisiac, we have to look at the psychology of safety. For thousands of years, the female experience has been a search for a safe harbor. This isn't just about physical protection, it's about emotional competence. When you lose your cool, you are signaling to her subconscious that you are a leaky ship. If you can't handle a minor social slight or a moment of tension, how could you possibly handle a real crisis? Epictetus, the slave-turned-philosopher, famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The high-value man acts as an anchor. When the waves of drama or chaos hit, the anchor doesn't bob up and down. It stays buried in the solid earth of its own principles. A woman is biologically wired to be drawn to that stability. She wants to know that no matter how much the weather of her own emotions or the world shifts, you are the one constant. To understand the anchor, we must look at the Roman Stoic, Pausanias Agrippinus. One day, while he was preparing to have lunch with his friends, a messenger arrived to tell him that he had been officially tried and exiled by the Emperor Nero. Most men would have collapsed or spent hours in a frantic panic. Agrippinus simply looked at the messenger and asked, "To where?" "To my estate in Erisha or somewhere further." When the messenger replied with the location, Agrippinus turned back to his friends and said, "Very well, then let us go and take our lunch in Erisha." This is the power of being unshakable. He didn't let the Emperor of Rome disturb his appetite or his peace. When you carry this energy into a room today, people feel it. They see a man whose internal foundation is so deep that no external bad news can cause a tremor in his hands. That is the essence of the anchor. Pillar 2, the gap, where your power lives. Between every stimulus and every response, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom and your power. Most men have a gap that is microscopic. Something happens, and they react instantly. They are puppets, and the world is pulling their strings. The Stoic man works every day to widen that gap. When someone insults him, he doesn't bark back. He steps into the gap. He observes the insult. He asks, "Is this true? If it is, I have something to learn. If it is not, then the person speaking is simply mistaken. Why would I be angry at a mistake?" By widening the gap, you become what I call a static center. When a woman realizes she cannot push your buttons, she stops trying to push them and starts trying to align with them. She moves from testing you to trusting you. Your lack of reaction is the loudest statement of strength you will ever make. To master this gap, you must utilize the Aurelius Protocol. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius practiced a mental rehearsal that made him unshakable. He wrote, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." He wasn't being a pessimist, he was removing the element of surprise. Most men lose their calm because they are shocked when the world is unkind. They expected the world to be smooth, and when it isn't, they react. The Stoic man, however, has already met these people in his mind at dawn. When he encounters a disrespectful person later that evening, he simply thinks, "Ah, there you are. I was expecting you." This premeditation of evils is the secret to why his face never changes. This widening of the gap also protects you from the modern trap of the social ghost. When a woman pulls back or her energy shifts, the reactive man rushes to fill the silence. He interprets her distance as a personal failure. But the Stoic man knows that he cannot control the tides of another person's mind. By staying in the gap, you choose not to chase. You understand that your value is not a fluctuating stock price based on her interest level. When you refuse to react to her distance, a psychological shift occurs. She realizes that her absence does not break you. This creates a sense of prestige. In the animal kingdom, the most powerful creatures are often the most still. By maintaining your static center even when she is distant, you demonstrate that you are a man of high internal resources. You are an environment she wants to return to, not a subordinate she can manipulate. Pillar 3. The laboratory of the mind. Imagine a man who finds his house is on fire. One man runs in circles, screaming, throwing water on the walls that aren't even burning yet. He is frantic. He is useless. The second man sees the fire, takes one deep breath to oxygenate his brain, and begins to move with violent calm. He identifies the exit. He gathers the essentials. He moves with purpose. He doesn't waste energy on fear, he uses all his energy on the solution. Most men live their dating lives like the first man. They treat a cold text or a cancelled date like a house fire. They panic. The Stoic man treats every social fire with that same violent calm. He doesn't panic because he knows that his internal house, his inner citadel, is fireproof. It cannot be burned by the actions of another. The Stoic masters used a mental exercise called the view from above to maintain this calm. Imagine you are in the middle of a high-stress argument. Your heart is racing. Now, imagine your consciousness rising out of your body. You look down at the room and see two small humans arguing over words. You rise higher, seeing the city, then the continent, then the tiny blue marble of Earth spinning in the silent vacuum of space. From this height, the fire of your current social problem looks like a tiny spark. It becomes impossible to stay angry when you realize how small the moment is. When you use this strategy, your face relaxes and your voice slows down. You are operating from a cosmic perspective while everyone else is trapped in the dirt. This vast calm is what makes a woman feel like she has finally met a man who is bigger than his problems. Pillar 4. The power of the non-answer. In the digital age, your calm is tested through a screen. A woman sends a text that is meant to provoke a reaction, maybe something vague, or something that challenges your status. The reactor replies within 30 seconds with a paragraph. He has already lost. The Stoic man understands that silence is often the most sophisticated response. By not responding to bait, you are showing that your time is more valuable than her games. This creates a vacuum of validation. She begins to respect your boundaries because she sees they are made of iron, not glass. Consider the leader Pericles. Legend says a man followed him for an entire day, shouting insults. Pericles ignored him. He continued his business and walked with a steady, calm gait. When it grew dark and Pericles reached his front door, the man was still there, red-faced from rage. Instead of finally snapping, Pericles turned to his servant and said, "It is dark now. Take a torch and see this man safely back to his house." This is the ultimate level of calm. It is the realization that another person's anger is a sickness of their own mind. By helping the man, Pericles proved that the insults never even touched his soul. When you can treat someone who is trying to hurt you with a calm, indifferent kindness, you are intimidatingly powerful. We must also discuss the weight of silence in physical conversation. Most men are terrified of a lull in the dialogue. They feel they must perform or juggle words to keep a woman's attention. The Stoic man, however, is comfortable in the quiet. He knows that silence is the ultimate frame setter. When you can look a woman in the eyes and stay silent without looking away or fidgeting, you are communicating that you are comfortable in your own skin. You aren't trying to get anything from her. This lack of reach is incredibly rare. In a world where everyone is trying to sell themselves, a man who is comfortable with silence is a man who already owns himself. You become the gravity. Pillar 5, the Memento Mori of social grace. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that he could leave life at any moment. When you apply Memento Mori to your social life, you realize how small most problems actually are. Does it really matter if this date goes perfectly? Does it really matter if she thinks you're cool? In 100 years, both of you will be dust. The only thing that remains is the quality of your character in this moment. This realization kills social anxiety. Anxiety is simply the fear of a future outcome. But a Stoic only cares about the present action. By detaching from the outcome and focusing only on your own calm execution, you become a social lion. You are relaxed because you have nothing to lose. When you live with the urgency of death, you don't have the luxury of being needy. This creates a focused, intense energy. A woman senses that you are a man with a limited amount of time, and suddenly, your attention becomes a scarce and precious resource. Think of it this way: a man who is terrified of death is terrified of everything. A man who has accepted his mortality is immune to the trivialities of social status. When you stop fearing the death of a relationship or the death of your reputation, you become truly free. You move with a relaxed gravity that suggests you are tuned into a frequency far beyond the petty dramas of the day. Pillar 6, transforming anger into authority. Many men mistake calm for weakness. This is a fatal error. Stoic calm is not the absence of energy, it is the containment of energy. Think of a steam engine. If the steam is allowed to spray everywhere, it's just hot air. But if you contain it in a steel vessel, it can move a train across a continent. Your anger and your passion are the steam. Most men spray their anger through shouting or passive aggression. The Stoic man contains it. When he is disrespected, his voice doesn't get louder, it gets lower. It gets slower. He uses that contained energy to set a boundary with surgical precision. This is high-status calm. It is attractive because it hints at a massive amount of power that is being perfectly controlled. It shows her that you are a man who could be dangerous if necessary, but you have the character to be gentle. This is the definition of a gentleman, a man who is capable of the storm but chooses the sun. In the modern world, most men are slaves to the digital mirror. We are constantly looking at our own reflection through social media metrics. Most men have become digital beggars, checking to see if their value has been upvoted by the crowd. Every time you check who viewed your story, you are handing a piece of your piece to the algorithm. The Stoic man treats his digital presence like a transmission, not a mirror. He broadcasts his mission, but he never looks back to see how the reflection looks. He doesn't need a like to know he is likable. When you break the digital mirror, you stop being a performer and start being a person of consequence. You become a ghost in the machine, a man who is present in reality but cannot be tracked by the desperate need for digital applause. Pillar 7, the Amor Fati of the walk away. The final level of emotional mastery is the love of fate, Amor Fati. If a woman decides she no longer wants to be in your life, the Stoic man does not beg. He does not ask why. He does not try to change her mind. He accepts the fate of the situation with total calm. He says, "I enjoyed our time. I wish you the best." And he walks. He doesn't walk away hoping she'll follow. He walks away because he is a man on a mission, and if she is no longer part of that mission, he must move on to the next objective. This absolute outcome independence is the ultimate magnet. Ironically, the man who is most willing to let go is the one most women are most terrified to lose. By being okay with her exit, you prove that your happiness was never her responsibility. You were whole before her, and you are whole after her. Conclusion: the unshakable man. Mastering your emotions is the hardest work you will ever do. It is easier to build a business or a body than it is to build a mind that cannot be moved. but it is the only work that truly matters. When you become the static center, you stop being a consumer of life and start being a creator. You provide the stability that the world, and the women in it, desperately crave. If this message hit home, if you're tired of being a slave to your own reactions, then subscribe and join us. We are building a brotherhood of men who cannot be shaken. Comment below, the mountain does not move. Share this with one man who is currently losing his cool. And remember, never let your emotions override your execution. Your time is now. Be the mountain. Let the world be the weather.